I removed every single Canadian team from the NHL, and we are going to go ahead and see how differently that affects the league over the course of a 5-year simulation. And I mean, really, it's probably not going to do much considering over the last 30 seasons, not a single Canadian team won a Stanley Cup. Ever since Gary Bettman took over, the Canadian drought has been on, and American teams have won every single Stanley Cup since then. But I mean, it was only fair considering I did remove every American team from the NHL in one of my last videos. So I thought I'd return the favor and do it again here, removing every single Canadian team from the NHL. Of course, right now we are looking at the best player on an American team currently right now. It's Nathan MacKinnon. I mean, he's on an absolute tear, and we are pretty much going to see if the Colorado Avalanche dominate the simulation like they dominated in NHL 23, or maybe it'll be the Tampa Bay Lightning, who knows. But we do have every American team in the NHL. No Canadian teams exist anymore. Basically what I did, instead of actually going into franchise mode, I substituted all the Canadian teams, which is international teams that are no good, so they're not really going to win any games. They'll basically all be at the bottom of the standings, while the American teams have a shot, or at least some of them do, at winning a Stanley Cup. I mean, I do not expect to see the Chicago Blackhawks win at all in the simulation. But before we go ahead, if you guys do enjoy videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also turn on notifications so you don't miss a single live stream or video that I put out. So at the end of the regular season, surprisingly, the Seattle Kraken are going to be the best team in the entire league, going 57-22-3. Boston also won 57 games, just one less overtime loss. Buffalo was up there with 56 wins. Florida was good. Nashville, Detroit, Dallas. A lot of weird teams are at the top of the NHL in the standings. Colorado, Tampa Bay, the Rangers are pretty far down too. Those are usually the powerhouses of the simulations. Now at the bottom, of course, we have all the European hockey teams, but the St. Louis Blues were the worst team in the league with 41 wins and 83 points. I mean, Arizona did have 38. Well, how many wins did Chicago have? Chicago had 41 wins. Wow. I guess if you throw in European teams, that gives them some free points and some free wins along the way. Patrick Kane is going to lead the entire NHL in scoring with 119 points, followed by Pasta, who had 106. Of course, Nathan MacKinnon was up there as well at 106. Johnny Hockey, Kucherov had a good season. Jason Robertson, Matt Zuccarello put up a 100-point season, as well as Matthew Tkachuk. Now on the goal side, Alex DeBrincat is going to lead with 58 goals. Of course, we do not have Matthews in the simulation. Pasternak had 55 goals. Kaprizov was up there. Kucherov had 52. Ovi only had 50 and 85 points, but I mean, he's still simulating pretty well for an 89 overall player. Patrick Laine had a good season. Bedard had 47 as a rookie. Now for defenseman, John Carlson is going to lead with 90 points, followed by Noah Dobson, who had 88. Dougie Hamilton was up there. Carlson had a pretty good year. Cale Makar did not. I mean, only 11 goals and 81 points. Noah Dobson had more points than him and more goals, which is very shocking. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Sergei Bobrovsky, and Ilya Sorokin are going to tie for the most wins at 43. UC Saros had 42. Freddie Anderson was up there with 41. Now for the shutout side, Cam Talbot is going to lead all goalies with 7. Saros had 6. Vasi 6. Sorokin 6. Marc-Andre Fleury had 6. And here's our playoff matchups in year number 1. We do have Boston and Pittsburgh, which should be a very good series. Outside of that, I mean, the other series aren't really that interesting, but let's see who goes on and advances to the Stanley Cup Finals. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, I think the first time ever, we're going to have the Nashville Predators up against the Buffalo Sabres. Two teams that I definitely did not expect to be here, but nonetheless they are. So let's go on and see who takes home that Stanley Cup at the end of season number 1. And somehow the Buffalo Sabres are going to go on and take home the Stanley Cup at the end of year number 1. I know I'm just as shocked as you guys are. I mean, I really didn't see them winning any Stanley Cups, let alone the very first simulation season that we do. But again, they are going to beat the Nashville Predators in 5 games in the finals, so they were very dominant. They definitely well deserved. I mean, the best team in the playoffs, and they did very good in the regular season as well, so I guess I can't be too shocked. Dylan Cousins is going to win the Conn Smythe, 16 goals and 26 points, as Buffalo, I believe, is going to win their very first ring in their franchise's history. Maybe they won it with Dominic Hasek back in the day. I can't remember, but regardless, they do not have a lot. And there it is, the Stanley Cup going to be raised in Buffalo, which is basically a Canadian city. I mean, it's right on the border there, so maybe I should have removed these guys as well. Here comes their captain. Kyle Okposo is the man to lead Buffalo to a Stanley Cup, as they have gone all the way here in year number 1. So hats off to Buffalo. Now, for the playoffs, Philip Forsberg is going to lead in points with 29, followed by Dylan Cousins, who had a very good playoff run, of course. He won the Conn Smythe, 16 goals, 26 points. Jeff Skinner had 25. Jack Eichel was up there. Ryan O'Reilly had a good playoff run. Mark Stone had 24. Patrick Kane is going to take on the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. DeBrincat is going to win the Maurice Richard. The Norris will go to Noah Dobson. The Conn Smythe, of course, to Cousins. The workhorse from Whitehorse. Vezina will go to Freddie Anderson, and the Selke is going to go to Ryan O'Reilly. You know, I've been thinking a lot lately, when is the Stanley Cup drought going to end for a Canadian team? Like, it's been over 30 years at this point, and nobody has won it. And this season, we have a lot of good Canadian teams that actually have a shot at it. I mean, we have Vancouver, we have Winnipeg, and Edmonton. Obviously, Toronto's not going to win it, so they're out of it. But between those three, who do you guys think has the best shot at taking on the Stanley Cup at the end of the season this year? Or maybe even next year or the year after? I mean, Canada just needs anybody to win a Stanley Cup at this point, honestly. So, at the end of year number 2, the greatest team of all time in the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to finish first. They went 54, 23, and 5, 113 points. The Red Wings were up there. They had a very good season. Pittsburgh was very good. New Jersey had 50 wins. Carolina, Seattle, again, winning a lot of games. I don't see, there it is. The Buffalo Sabres were 12th. They went 48, 28, and 6, the defending Stanley Cup champions. I know that's definitely not something I thought I'd ever say, but at the bottom, we have the San Jose Sharks as the worst team. The worst NHL team, that is, in the entire league this season with 38 wins. Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point are going to tie for the most points at 115. Kucherov also is going to lead in goals with 66, so he had a great season. Panarin's going to have 112, Pasternak 105, Ovi was up there 104. When was the last time Ovi hit a 100-point season? It's been a hot minute. You're telling me 2010 was the last time Alexander Ovechkin had a 100-point season? That is crazy. That is a very, very long time ago. Ethan McKinnon had 104, Matthew Tkachuk was up there, Brad Marchand had a good season. On the goal side, other than Kucherov, Pasternak will lead with 62. Ovi also had 62. DeBrincat was scoring a lot of goals. I mean, he led last season. Now he has 57. Rantanen's up there. McKinnon, Kaprizov, Tage Thompson was good for defensemen here. Let's see who leads. Erik Karlsson had another 100-point year, followed by Brent Burns, who came in second with 82 points. Brent Burns at 87 overall, 39-year-old. Gonna have a very great season. Only 16 goals, which is unusual for him. Victor Hedman and Cale Makar had 76. Also Dahlin, who had 76. Yossi was up there. Ville Husso is gonna lead in wins with 45, followed by Vasi with 44. Saros at 43. Gibson 43. Now on the shutout side, Vasi will lead with 8. Saros had 7. Hart, Bennington, Husso all had 6. And here's our Stanley Cup playoff matchups for season number 2. And in the Stanley Cup final, surprisingly, we have the Anaheim Ducks up against the New Jersey Devils. The Devils do have a very good team. Anaheim, on the other hand, really doesn't. But again, EA Sports' simulation is literally all over the place. So let's see who goes on and wins the Stanley Cup at the end of year number 2. And the Anaheim Ducks are going to absolutely dominate New Jersey in Game 7, 6-1 to take on the Stanley Cup here in year number 2. I mean, it was a tight series back and forth, but I mean, the Devils really didn't show up in Game 7 on home ice as they got dominated and blasted very hard. And so far, through the first 2 seasons, we have 2 underdog teams go on and win the Stanley Cup. First off, obviously being Buffalo. I don't see them win many Stanley Cups. And now, goddamn, the Anaheim Ducks. Troy Terry is going to be the Conn Smythe winner. He had 12 goals and 23 points. A very good playoff run by him. And I don't know, maybe we'll see new teams actually win it here. For the first 2 seasons, at least, we have Anaheim, who never wins it, and Buffalo as well. Unfortunately for them, they are going to have to lift it in New Jersey, which, I mean, New Jersey kind of stinks. Too much pollution going on there, but regardless of that, here comes their captain. Do they have a captain? They do not. Troy Terry will come and collect the Stanley Cup for them, as he was the Conn Smythe winner, so definitely well-deserved, as he's going to raise the Stanley Cup for Anaheim here in year number 2. Now, for the playoffs, obviously Troy Terry is going to lead in goals with 12 and points with 23. Jason Robertson also had 22. Nikita Kucherov was up there. Marchand had a good playoff run. Zegras only had 2 goals, but 19 apples for 21 points. McTavish was up there. Kucherov is going to win every single major individual award. The Norris is going to go to Erik Karlsson. The Conn Smythe to Troy Terry. The Vezina to UC Saros. And the Selke will go to Ryan O'Reilly yet again. So far, we have 2 very surprising teams to go on and win the Stanley Cup. Hopefully, many more do that that. So I guess the EA simulation is finally kicking in, as the Colorado Avalanche are going to be the best team in the NHL, as they went 57, 21, and 4, 118 points. Surprisingly, the Nashville Predators were up there with 56 wins. I know they were in the Stanley Cup Finals, but still, they're not really a great team. Tampa Bay, very good as well, so I'm expecting probably a Tampa Bay and Colorado Stanley Cup Final matchup. The Penguins were very good. Buffalo was good. Boston was up there. Carolina, New Jersey, who choked in the finals. At the bottom of the NHL, the Red Wings were the worst team in the entire league. The worst NHL team, I should say. 39 wins, 86 points. As the Anaheim Ducks, the defending Stanley Cup champions, just barely squeaked into a playoff spot. I mean, they were 16th in the entire league and only had 98 points. Brad Marchand is going to go ahead and lead the entire NHL in scoring with 124 points. Pasta had 120. Kucherov was up there at 117. Jason Robertson had a pretty good season. Nathan McKinnon was up there. Braden Point has been simulating very well this video. Now for goals, Kucherov is going to lead with 64 on the season. Jason Robertson had 56. McKinnon 53. Kaprizov 53. Pasta 52. Ovi was up there 48. Bedard had 44. Marchand 43. For defensemen, Erik Karlsson is going to tie with Cale Makar at 93 points for the most by any D-man. Dahlin had 81. Brent Burns 79. Karlsson 79. UC Saros is going to lead in wins with 47. Merz Lincoln's at 45. Ottinger 44. Vanacek 43. Freddie Anderson, who I don't even know if he's retired in real life. He actually might be. I haven't heard of this guy in a very long time, but regardless, he had 43 wins in the simulation. And now for the shutout side, UC Saros is going to lead with 11, so he's definitely going to win the Vezina. Kemper, Vasi, Georgiev, and Tristan Jarry all had 7 shutouts on the year. And here we go yet again, year number 3. This is our playoff matchups. Let's see who goes on and advances to the Stanley Cup Finals, of course. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, we do have the Tampa Bay Lightning, so I was half right with the finals, I guess, but they are up against the Minnesota Wild, who have a decent team, I guess. They simulate pretty well in the videos. But regardless of that, let's see if Tampa Bay can go on and prove why they are the greatest team in NHL history. And absolutely no surprise here, as the veteran Tampa Bay Lightning are going to go on and close the show here in Minnesota. They beat them in 6 games. I mean, on paper, they have a much better roster, so I'm not too surprised by that, as they're going to go ahead and win their 3rd Stanley Cup in the Stammer era. They've been to now, what, 5 Stanley Cup Finals, winning 3 of them? And Andrei Vasilevsky is going to win another Conn Smythe, a 224 GAA and a 933 save percentage. Very good stats by him. Definitely well deserved. I mean, he's really the backbone of their team. If they do not have Vasi, I don't think they win a single Stanley Cup or even make a Stanley Cup Finals appearance. But I mean, unfortunately for them, they're going to have to raise the Stanley Cup here in the state of hockey in Minnesota, as Stammer comes to collect another Stanley Cup, the 3rd of his career, as Tampa Bay is in fact back. Nikita Kucherov is going to lead everybody in scoring for the playoffs. He had 11 goals and 27 points. Kaprizov had a pretty good playoff run. I mean, 21 points is not bad in 22 games. Braden Point had 21. Ryan Hartman had 18. Jarrett McCann, 17. Stammer had 17. So not a lot of scoring going on in the playoffs. Brad Marchand is going to take on the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. Kucherov's going to win the Maurice Richard, the Norris, the Cale Makar, the Conn Smythe, of course, went to Vasi. The Vezina will also go to Vasi, not UC Saros, which I'm kind of surprised by. And the Selke's going to go yet again to Ryan O'Reilly, 3 years in a row. So the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning are going to go on and have their best season of the simulation so far, going 61, 17, and 4, 126 points. Colorado was good as well. I mean, they came in 2nd place, having 52 wins. Carolina, Nashville, Boston, Dallas were all very good. Anaheim surprisingly had a bounce-back season, 51 wins at the bottom of the league. We have the San Jose Sharks yet again. And honestly, I don't think you guys should be either. They're really not a great team, not a great team in real life, not a great team on paper. Again, Nikita Kucherov is going to lead everybody in goals with 67 and points with 117, followed by Nathan McKinnon, who had 105, Patrick Kane 102, Marchand and Johnny Hockey were up there, both having a 100-point seasons. Braden Point has been simulating very well in this video. Past is always up here for the goal side. Other than Kuch, I mean, Robertson had 50, and nobody else even cracked 50, which is kind of crazy. Ranson had 49, Ovi 46, Patrick Kane was up there at 45, Brad Marchand and Matthew Tkachuk at 43. Again, Erik Karlsson's going to lead all D-man in points, this time with 92, followed by Cale Makar's 85. Noah Dobson had 81. Victor Hedman, 75, and Yossi, 72. Vasi's going to break the single-season wins record for goalies with 52 wins on the year in only 70 games. That is crazy. Followed by Saros, who had 47. Bobrovsky at 45. Ottinger, 43. Now for the shutouts, Bob is going to lead with 8. Ville Husso had 7. Decord had 6, who was on the Seattle Kraken. And yet again, here we go in the Stanley Cup playoffs. These are our matchups, so let's go ahead and see who makes these Stanley Cup finals. And here we go in the Stanley Cup finals. I predicted this last season, but it didn't happen. But we do have Colorado versus Tampa Bay, two of the best teams that simulate here in the game. So let's see who goes on. Let's see if Tampa Bay can go back-to-back or if Colorado is going to win their very first Stanley Cup of this video. And the Colorado Avalanche are yet again going to get the best of the Tampa Bay Lightning as they squeak out a Game 7 victory on the road. I mean, the last time they faced these guys in the finals, they also won on the road in 6 games, so it's a little different here. But regardless, Colorado is going to win their very first Stanley Cup of the video. Tampa Bay will not go back-to-back, so I guess there's that. As for the Conn Smythe, it's going to go to Gabriel Landeskog. 10 goals and 31 points for the captain. I'm kind of shocked by this. I'm surprised it's not McKinnon or even Cale Makar. Even a guy like Mikko Rantanen, I would say before Gabriel Landeskog, but shout out to him, man, the captain, putting everything on the line for his team. And yet again, he's going to have the privilege to lift the Stanley Cup here in Tampa Bay again for the second time in basically most of these guys' careers as the Colorado Avalanche come to lift it here in year number 4 and are yet again Stanley Cup champions. So for the playoffs, not only is Nathan MacKinnon going to have more goals and points than Gabriel Landeskog, but he's also the better player. Yet he still did not win the Conn Smythe. Kucherov had 31, Landy had 31 as well, Rantanen 29, Hedman had a pretty good playoff run, Stammer had 22. Oh my god, where is Cale Makar? He did not have a great playoff run. Only 2 goals and 21 points. I mean, still point per game. But honestly, at the end of the day, I did expect a whole lot better by Cale. Kucherov again is going to take home all the awards. The Norris, the Noah Dobson again, and the Conn Smythe is going to go to Gabriel Landeskog. The Vezina of Vasi and the Selke will go to Nathan MacKinnon of the Colorado Avalanche. Now, as we head into the final season of the video, I'm very interested to see who goes on and wins the Stanley Cup because the first 2 years, we had 2 surprising teams win it in Buffalo and Anaheim. They normally never win a Stanley Cup. And then the last 2 seasons, we had very predictable teams. So 2 ends of the spectrum, as we did have, of course, Tampa Bay and then Colorado. So who's going to take it home at the end of the final season here? Let's go ahead and find out. Now, at the end of the final season, the New Jersey Devils are going to go ahead and win 61 games, being the best team in the entire league. Dallas 157, Pittsburgh was up there, the Rangers were good. Obviously teams like Vegas, Detroit, Tampa Bay, and Colorado both up there, 53 wins apiece, same amount of points as well. At the bottom, I mean, we're willing to bet it's the San Jose Sharks, and it is 33 wins. They are a terrible hockey team. Again, Nikita Kucherov is going to lead in goals with 69 and points with 128. Patrick Kane had 117. McKinnon was up there 115. Sam Reinhart had 109, also 40 goals. They'll probably have something like that in real life. He's going off in a contract season. Brayden Point has been simulating well. Marchand, Crosby, I haven't heard of him the entire simulation. I mean, 40 goals, 104 points. Speaking of goals, other than Kucherov, Kaprizov's going to have the most at 56, followed by Ovi's 54, Pasta had 51. Philip Forsberg was up there at 46. McKinnon had 46. Tage Thompson, 45. For defensemen, Cale Makar and Erik Karlsson are both going to have 100-point seasons. Cale Makar having 2 more points, obviously. As Roman Yossi's going to have 85, Victor Hedman 79, Karlsson 78. Now for goalies, Igor Shesterkin's going to lead in wins with 50, followed by Ottinger and Husso who had 49, Vanacek at 46 on the shutout side. Vasi is going to lead with 8, Bobrovsky at 6, Shesterkin 6, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen 6, as well as Marc-Andre Fleury. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, we yet again have the Colorado Avalanche as they have made it back, but they are up against the New York Rangers, who are also a team that simulates very well in this game. So 2 absolute powerhouses. Let's see if the Avs can go back-to-back, or will New York win their very first Stanley Cup of the simulation. And the Colorado Avalanche are going to somehow win in Game 7 over the Rangers after they blew a 3-0 series lead here in the finals. I thought they were cooked. I thought they were choking it, honestly, as the Rangers rallied 3 straight, but somehow in Game 7, finally, the Avalanche are going to show up, and I believe they won 4-1 here in Madison Square Garden, dominant fashion, as they are going to go back-to-back, winning another Stanley Cup, as Mikko Rantanen is going to win the Conn Smythe, 10 goals and 29 points for him, so a pretty good playoff run. I mean, I've seen better, but that's still very impressive nonetheless. As you know, I would say it's very unfortunate they do not get to raise the Stanley Cup on home ice, but we are in Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in all of sports, so that's got to be a pretty special feeling, despite the fact that you're not the home team. Here is Gabriel Landeskog coming yet again to lift another Stanley Cup, the 4th of his career, actually his 3rd of his career, as the Colorado Avalanche have gone back-to-back and won the Stanley Cup in the final season. Now for the playoffs, Mikko Rantanen is going to lead in scoring with 29 points, followed by Devon Toews with 2 goals and 24 points in 25 games in the postseason. Nathan MacKinnon had 22. Artturi Lehkonen had 22. Ross Colton had 22. What is going on with all these bums putting up a lot of points? Cale Makar only had 22 points. And yet again, Kucherov's going to win all the major individual awards. The Norris to Cale Makar, the Conn Smythe to Mikko Rantanen. Ilya Sorokin is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke again for all 5 seasons will go to Ryan O'Reilly. So there you have it. We went ahead and we removed every single Canadian team from the NHL, and we really had mixed results. I mean, the first half, we had surprising teams win the Stanley Cup in Buffalo and the Anaheim Ducks, but then the big dogs took over in Tampa Bay, and then Colorado going back-to-back to finish off the video. But I did think I had to do this because of the fact that I did already remove every American team, so it's only fair that I did it in reverse and removed all the Canadian NHL teams. Gary Bettman definitely loves this video. It's probably his favorite video of mine on my channel. Gary, if you're listening, please fucking resign. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see next. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.